True History of a God Part 2. So Lalash ruled as God King in heaven for 9 years. No doubt you are left with many questions like, what was the heaven where Lalash ruled for 9 years? Were there years like our years? If he ruled in heaven for 9 years, how did he get to earth? Who in the hell is Anu? Here is the shocker. When someone call ancient text myth understand this, they don't know what they are talking about. Lalash and his twin sister were the first people created on their planet, and Lalash took her as a mate, and their firstborn son and daughter was Anu and his twin sister Antu. But did you notice the Hittite text said Anu the son of Lalash took the throne away from him, and Lalash had to escape and came to the dark earth so Anu wouldn't kill him. In the Enuma Elish, Lalash and his twin is given the names Ansar and Kisar. I have read 21 translations of the Enuma, and not many people understand that it is our solar creation story. That story is about planets being created by our solar creator god Apsu, that is known as our Holy Sunday. The first planet created by our Apsu is called Tiamat, and all the rest is created in the waters of creation between Apsu and Tiamat. 7 planets are created by the sun, but God of the stars creates one that is the planet of the gods. Some people calls it Nibiru, which means point of crossing. That's the planet Lalash came from. In the Greek writings of Hermes, it is called the Sky Man. And it's the Sky Man that is used by our supreme God to push up land on planet Earth because she was covered with water. You can prove that to yourself by going on top of tall mountains, and you will find sea fossils there. In the Bible, in the start of Genesis, it say the Spirit of God was moving across the waters. In the Greek Hermetic text you find the creation story of Pimandar and the fire god Apsu, and it's in that forever text you learn what happened in our earth history, not the Bible. Life on the Sky Man came first, and Lalash and his twin Kisar were the first biologicals on their heaven. However, she was the mother of Anu that took kingship from his father Lalash. There is no mention of her coming to earth with Lalash when he fled from the killer Anu. The facts are clear enough to understand she stayed on heaven, and Anu took his own mother as wife and had children by her. I seriously think the Sumerian god of wisdom Enki and his twin sister named in Sumeria as Ereshkigal, were the children of Anu and his mother. Many people get confused by using the name Namu as being the mother of all the gods. However, the mother of all the gods Namu is not the twin of Lalash. Mamu is the creative forces our sun used to create planets and other things. So don't cross the Enuma Elish with the creation of the blood and flesh gods known as the Atlanteans. Wiki says it was Anu and Namu that had children, and no doubt in my mind Anu and Namu was the parents of Enki and Ereshkigal, and the person known as Namu is the mother of Enki and Ereshkigal. But don't cross her name with the Enuma Elish, because there, she is the creative forces, while in Sumeria she is a biological being. Now, according to Hittite text, Lalash took for wives 2 women he seen on the bank washing up. He asked them to be his wives, and they accepted, and their names were, remember this, while traveling upon the sea as a young god, El met 2 goddesses, Asherah and her friend Romea. He roasted a bird for them and asked them if they would rather be his daughters or his wives. They agreed to become his wives. From this union derive Shachar and Shalim. So with these women he created a new group of peoples called humans. What humans? Yes, humans. You see, these women were earth people he found once he came here. And when you mix the DNA of the Atlanteans with earthlings you get humans. So their children, humans, was mentioned in the Hittite text. Remember this? El is known as the father of the gods, Abi Adamu the father of mankind, Tharua Ilu the bull El, Bani Yubanawati the creator of creatures, Ludi Panu Ilu du Paidu El the compassionate the merciful, Kodj holy, Abu Shanima father of years, and Ilu Mabukana Harami El at the sources of the two rivers. So it wasn't mankind that were created on earth, it was man that they saw walking and living in caves, drinking from streams. The Pyamander tells us that it was the sun that created 7 races of man on earth. Thus mankind was born with the aid of those men that were created on earth, and later they used this creative principle to make a slave race to do their dirty work. And I tell you, those poor humans were treated very badly by the hateful gods. That story is in my Bible also. It's called, When the Gods Acted Like Men, They Did the Work and Labored. Their labor was enormous, the corvée too hard, the work too long, because the great Anunnaki made the Agagi carry the workload 7-fold. That was 7 days a week. The Anunnaki were the children of Anu on earth, and they were in charge. The Agagi were the lower echelon that did the bidding of the Anunnaki. It was when the Agagi rebelled against their leaders that they had a big meeting of the Anunnaki, and it was then they decided to make a slave race to do their work. If you know that history, you learn it's Enki and his wife that were the DNA experts, but his mother Nama was right there also. Anu is the father and Nama is the mother of Enki and his twin sister, while Anu and Antu is the mother of Enlil, which was pure blood, so that gave Enlil the rights to control the whole earth. Now Enlil did a lot to humanity and man. Here are his exploits. Then Jupiter, when he had 5 times made a circuit of the earth, and bestowed governments upon all his friends and relatives, and left laws to men, provided them with a settled mode of life and grain, and given them many other benefits, and having been honored with immortal glory and remembrance, left lasting memorials to his friends, and when his age was almost spent, he changed his life in Crete, and departed to the gods. And the Curets, his sons, took charge of him, and honored him, and his tomb is in Crete, in the town of Knossos, and Vesta is said to have founded this city, and on his tomb is an inscription in ancient Greek characters, Zankranu, which is in Latin, Jupiter the son of Saturn. So they perfected a human to do their work, and Alelo had already had mixed their DNA, and their first child was a human. Now I could go on speaking for hours when it comes to Alelu. He was the god Shu in Egypt, and the Egyptian god of knowledge, Thoth, speaks of him when he speaks about how Shu would have benefited man greatly if he would have put in writings what he saw in the creation account. In the Greek he called him Agatodamon, the good demon. Now in Egypt he is known as Shu, and his wife is Tefnut. I know that in Israel there were Asherah poles dedicated to Asherah, the wife of Alelu. But I think she was one of the 2 women he took as wives that he found bathing on the bank. The Israelites were told by their God to chop the poles down in Israel. They did cut some down. Let's look at what was said. Deuteronomy 16:21 states that Yahweh hated Asherim, whether rendered as poles. Do not set up any Asherah pole beside the altar you build to the Lord your God, or as living trees. You shall not plant any tree as an Asherah beside the altar of the Lord your God, which you shall make. Now Marduk, the god of Israel, was in the bloodline of Alalel, but not in the bloodline of Asherah. Asherah was an earthling, and the Atlanteans thought themselves to be of a super race. Thoth said he was a descendant of the Atlanteans, which he was, but only on his father's side. His mother was a earthling and had lived in a cave before she was taken by Marduk as a wife. She was known as Sarpanidam in Babylon and other places like Greece. She was Hera, but in Israel she was known as Asherah. Now let's get back to Ali's I think Alalel is buried at Nimrud Dajai, north of where the two rivers meet. There is a lake up there that feeds the rivers. To me, this is the area Alalel used to like to dwell, and no doubt he would want to be buried there. Now the Atlanteans said they felt sorry for man living in caves, because they too used to live in caves and drank from streams. For more information on the Atlanteans, read the Emerald Tablets of Thoth. They are on YouTube for you to hear or read. I leave you with these words of Thoth the Atlantean. He said, "Far in the past, when I first came to you, I found you in caves of rocks. I lifted you by my power and wisdom until you did shine as men among men. Yes, I found you without any knowing. Only a little were you raised beyond beasts. I fanned ever the spark of your consciousness until at last you flamed as men. Now I shall speak to your knowledge ancient beyond the thought of your race. Know you that we of the great race had and have knowledge that is more than man's. Wisdom we gained from the star-born races, wisdom and knowledge far beyond man's. Down to us had descended the masters of wisdom as far beyond us as I am from you. You listen now while I give you wisdom. Use it and free you shall be." The wisdom he spoke of was the knowledge that lifted you out of darkness. Thoth was very aware of the people that lived in caves. His mother was one of those. At this point, let's just remember who Alulash was. Anshar, Alulash, says, "Most great, the father of the gods, Shu, the great one, the chief of the earth."